This Choircast broadcast is brought to you by Mornings with Schleiermacher. Conservative devotionals are rule-oriented, they focus on a Bible verse a day, and they're often made of the opinions of a megachurch pastor. How is Mornings different? It's idea-oriented. It focuses on experiencing God every day and contains insight from the father of modern theology. Mornings is a progressive devotional made by progressives for progressives. Check out Mornings with Schleiermacher today.
Hey heathens, you're listening to the Deadly Faith podcast where religion and crime collide. I'm Lola.
And I'm Lacey.
And this shit is grim.
The mind that was in Jesus, that mind is in me.
Without me, life has no meaning.
Why would God tell you what I'm thinking and tell you what I've said to my wife or my husband when you're not around? It's because I'm the pastor of the church and I need to know.
This is the only place where you can see truth.
You already know from the you know who this is. You know who this is.
Her name is everywhere. It is a stain in our existence in humanity.
It's definitely the shit stain on the American
boxer drawers.
YouTube American underwear.
Yeah.
You know? It's the skid mark.
It's the skid mark.
I should have said the shit is the skid mark.
Shit is the skid mark.
That's good.
Oh, man.
So, Ruby Franke. It's Frankie, not Frank.
Frankie, the mother we all hate.
The mother we love to hate.
And I'm not going to be nice in this episode. I know...
we're getting mean, Lacey.
I know a good portion of Ruby Franke because I was watching it as it was all coming out. But then when Lola was like, I want to cover it, I stopped looking into anything. And stuff has come out.
You can't help but come across it, though.
And more has come out and stuff, but I was just like, Jesus Christ, this woman. I'm going to stop myself because I'm sure we'll get to this point in the episode and I'll get to state my opinions. So I'm just going to shut my mouth. I'm going to let you go off and start us.
Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and preface that this is a lot of information and I'm not going to be able to cover it all completely, like every single itty bitty thing, you know? So I'm going to give you some resources that you can look at for more information, but I'm going to give you the good rundown for sure, without having to split this into another two-parter.
We did that a lot to you guys.
We've kind of beat that horse to death.
And beyond.
No,
and
I don't want to.
No.
We've beat that beetle to death. No, beetles are nice.
We beat that. No, I can't. Okay, we're going off the rails. Beat
that Ruby to death. What? Who said that? Anyway.
Who said that? That was not me. We interrupt today's episode to bring you a message from our sponsor, Javy. Say goodbye to chaotic mornings and hello to delicious, convenient coffee. With Javy's coffee concentrate in a variety of flavors, you can whip up your favorite brew in no time. Whether you prefer hot, iced, or even blended coffee, Javy's got you covered, okay? Just a teaspoon of this magic elixir is all you need for a flavorful kickstart to your day. Trust me, once you try it, you'll be hooked. From classic flavors like vanilla and caramel to decadent options like cookies and cream and caramel brulee, Javy literally has something for every coffee lover. As a mom with 3 kids, 2 dogs, 3 bunnies, and 25 chickens, I love how Javy helps me make a delicious iced coffee every morning in under 2 minutes. Seriously, guys, it's just so quick. You just pour it all together, stir it in, and enjoy. My favorite flavor right now is the caramel brulee, but I did just order the cookies and cream along with the decaf so I can enjoy an afternoon or evening coffee without jacking up my sleep schedule. They've got original and they've got even more other flavors to come. They've got mocha as well. You really don't want to miss this. So if you want to save some time each morning and even a little money, or if you just want to try a damn good cup of coffee, try Javy today. Don't wait. Click the link in the show notes and use code LACY33468 at checkout to enjoy 20% off your purchase. Again, click the link in the show notes and use code LACY33468 at checkout. And that is Lacey with an I. Enjoy that 20% off, guys, and back to the show. I'm glad you're giving resources, but I think this is probably going to be another one of those Albert Fish case types. Is you can turn it into as many parts as you want to, but we're consolidating it into one episode for you guys. It is the concentrated version of the Ruby Franke story.
This is also really hard to talk about because it has to do with kids. This is really grim. Let's do trigger warnings. for
Okay.
this. Torture, child neglect / abuse, end days dogma, and manipulation. So that's what I got for you with trigger warnings. Who is Ruby Franke? What is Ruby Franke? A white
She
woman.
is the shit stain. We've
A
established
white
that.
woman.
No.
Um,
A white man.
so what I know about her is she's from Utah originally.
Okay.
She grew up in this comes from maybe an unverified source. But what I could gather is she grew up in a non-touchy home. So like non-affectionate home. Her parents weren't just like super affectionate, which a child needs if you don't know that.
I hope you know that. But if you don't, you've heard it here first, folks.
For sure. Parenting tips from the Deadly Taste podcast.
Yeah.
She also grew up in the Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints church.
Religion. Yeah.
What do you even call that? What do you even call
Mormon,
it?
right? Mormon?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Mormon.
Okay. Yeah.
She says Latter-day Saints, but like sometimes saying Mormon will automatically turn people off
Exactly.
because they think that maybe Latter-day Saints is different
Yes.
in a way. But yeah.
They do it to because like most people hear Mormon and they're like, Warren Jeffs, polygamy, which like that is a whole big part of Mormonism in their history and the offshoots. But they try to, I think it's like them just trying to get away from that negative stigma.
Well, Ruby Franke, she might be 44 now, but 42 is in my notes.
Okay.
She is married or was married to Kevin Franke, he was a former engineering professor.
Engineering professor.
Right?
What the hell? I didn't know that.
I have questions.
Damn, I do too.
But, so this is a YouTube family. The family vlogging became like a really big deal in the 2010s
Mm-hmm.
in a absolutely horrific way.
Yeah.
So they would do vlogs on a channel called 8 Passengers. And if you're wondering, that channel is no longer up at all.
Yeah.
No videos from that channel are on
YouTube at all.
I don't think they're on YouTube anymore, but you can find some.
Yeah. There might be clips of them from other people who are covering Ruby Franke, but her channel itself is gone. Yeah.
Now, Ruby Franke, if you look up her on YouTube, obviously you'll get a lot of stuff like what me and Lacey are going to talk about. But you'll also find she has a personal channel. It only has 2 videos of her, and she's playing piano at church in both of them.
Did not know that.
The more you know.
The more you know.
So she has 6 kids. I'm going to name them in order of age. I'm not going to tell you ages, though, because I don't know what their ages are now,
Yeah.
to be honest. So Shari is the oldest. Then there's Chad, Abby, Julie, Russell, and Eve.
Oh, I like the name Eve.
I know, it's a good name.
It's a good name.
They all have really cute names.
Yeah. Yeah, I like them.
They are all devout members of Latter-day Saints, and they're, pretty quiet family for the most part. So Ruby filmed a lot of their life to post on YouTube as a way of sharing their faith and beliefs and how they parent their kids. I don't know if it was supposed to be like a, you should do this kind of thing, or if it was just, here's how I do it.
I have, knowing what we know now and like everything that's
Have you seen any of her videos? Just
not until,
okay.
I didn't even know who she was until all of this started coming out. But she, knowing what we know now, I would say that it definitely for her was like, this is how you should raise your kids. And I think it's a lot of the family vloggers who hide behind the, I'm doing this for my faith, or this is like a ministry tool, is like them just trying to make money off of their family.
That's so weird.
And extorting their family, but using religion as a way to justify it.
Religion is the vehicle in which they put this parenting technique through.
Because they use their religion to justify it, their kids can't say anything about it. And so it leaves them, like, well, I have to do this because it's reaching people for Jesus or whatever.
Yeah,
and
it ties a lot of hands in that way.
Very exploitative, in my opinion.
I agree. Yeah. The channel for 8 Passengers started in 2015, and she seriously filmed them all the time. So like the kids are the main source of content. That would make sense. So you get to watch them grow up, which is kind of cool. My grand actually watched this channel almost from the beginning.
Gran watched the 8 passengers? Gran.
She really was
I did not know that.
I think she was just fascinated by like the family dynamic. Something she obviously was like, that's weird. Or like, that doesn't seem like a great way to parent, you know? But
that's how a lot of us were with the fucking Duggars. We're like, we watched that shit, you know, the Plathville.
It's a morbid curiosity.
Yeah.
In that way.
Yeah.
But they had millions of subscribers. Not just my gran. Millions.
not just gran.
But the controversy started up kind of quickly, I think. Yeah. I mean, for this type of content, Ruby posted a video describing her 4-year-old, so this is Eve, went to school hungry, or like here's what I know. She was at school and it was time for lunch and the teacher was like, "Where's your lunch?" And she's like, I forgot it at home. So the teacher called Ruby and said like, "Hey, can you bring her lunchbox?" She says she forgot it. This is a 4-year-old. Okay. And Ruby says, to the teacher, no, you know, she needs to learn that like it's her responsibility to pack her lunch and bring it. So if she didn't do that, she's just going to go hungry and that's it. Which is absolutely child neglect. Absolutely not the right thing to do. I'm not a parent and I know that like that's not right.
Was she 4 or was she 5? Because was it kindergarten or was it? Because if it was 4, that would have been...
She was 4 when this happened. So
Jesus Christ.
I'm assuming,
pre-K?
Is that like K4?
That would have been pre-K. Yeah, pre-K, okay, 4-year-old pre-K.
I don't know if she was fed or not that day. I have a feeling that teacher was extremely put off by this. I have a feeling they probably did give her something.
I would have. I can't. No. And this is coming from somebody who I have children. I don't even expect my 4th grader, who's 9, about to be 10. I don't even expect her to get up and make her lunch and remember to bring it to school. Like if she wants one, and then yes, she needs to do that and she's responsible enough. But if she was to like accidentally leave it at home, I'd still bring it to her. Or she has the option of getting a lunch at school. So like I would never leave, even my 4th grader, which is my oldest right now. I would not let her go hungry. Are you fucking kidding me?
I mean, I still remember my mom bringing me like Ruby. The thing is, Ruby works from home. It's not like this is such a horrible... like, oh, I have to stop whatever I'm doing. She literally stopped what she was doing to take this video to say, I'm not going to feed my child. I'm not going to bring her food.
Yes.
I remember in an elementary school, I had forgotten my lunch, or like my sister and I had swapped lunches and I couldn't have, I'm allergic to nuts. So I couldn't have peanut butter. And so mom was like, I'm on the way, you know, like.
Yeah.
And she lived kind of far from our school at the time. So.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, you're teaching your child that like they can't make a mistake, but you as an adult, when's the last time you forgot your doctor's appointment or didn't, you know, make the right thing or for, you know, whatever. Yeah, she's 4.
She has very little responsibility.
And your brain,
as a 4-year-old,
your brain does not finish fully developing with those like cognitive abilities and like decision-making skills until you're in your 20s.
25.
How can you expect a
29
4-year-old to, no. Mm-mm.
So that's horrible by itself. You know,
Red
that's
flag.
Already given us a problem there. So,
yeah.
But in other videos, other kids would describe like they were forced to do push-ups. They were left out of family fun. They would lose Christmas presents. And specifically, so Chad, the oldest son, was filmed like having to tell them what his punishment was for, he had pulled a prank on one of his younger siblings. It was a pretty harmless prank from what I gather, but I don't know exactly. And his bedroom, plus his bed and his bedroom was taken away from him for 7 months.
That's fucked up.
He slept on the floor or on the couch. He didn't have a bed. That's horrible. He's a teenager. He needs his privacy. He needs a bedroom. He needs his bed.
Yeah.
That's just not whatever. I think at the time, I feel like he was 15 when that was recorded, 15 or 16.
Yeah.
And
my gosh.
There was a family friend too that ended up talking to like some kind of like crime channel on YouTube about this. and I don't remember his name, but he said that like he, outside of the vlogs, he saw a lot of multiple like injuries on the kids, like split fingers, bloody noses. Some of them were on the channel. Specifically, I think the bloody nose was on the channel.
Yeah.
And he didn't say like, I think that they're doing this, but like it seemed like they weren't well supervised or they weren't well protected.
It's hard for me to take a bloody nose it serious at all for anything because like my youngest gets a bloody nose like all the time, especially when it starts
like
to get
a
dry.
nosebleed is that happens.
Yeah. But like scrapes and bruises like that also just like happens on kids all the time. So it's hard for me to take any of that.
This was more than normal because he was also a parent. Yeah.
Okay.
He said
it was alarming for him.
For how frequent it was
alarming.
Causing alarm. He said he had multiple fights with Ruby, like verbal altercations with her, telling her like, why are your kids like hurt all the time? Or like, can you explain your like parenting when it comes to protecting your kids or like advocating for them?
Damn.
That kind of thing. I mean, he was very much, he was pissed, which I would be too, but it never really amounted to any change or anything.
Yeah.
There were welfare checks called on this house, which I was a little bit, I was like, okay, were you guys not, I don't know. With this investigation coming forward like years later, I wonder why they didn't have enough back in the day.
I think because I'm going to let you keep going until I get my opinion because it'll come up later on when you get more into like the cases of like what's happened recently and why.
Okay, so welfare checks were called to the house on several occasions by family friends, such as this one gentleman. Also by Shari, the oldest child.
Yep.
I really like Shari. Really like her.
I do too. I do too.
She would be off at college and she would call. Also neighbors too. Neighbors that lived nearby would call CPS because they would like Ruby's kids would come over to like the neighbor's house or they would call their sister or they'd call, family friends and be like, hey, like we're hungry, we want food, or we don't know what to do about this. Like this is broken, we can't fix it. And they're like, where are your parents? Their parents aren't home. Where are their parents? We don't know. They would just be left alone for days at a time. And this is when Eve is very small. This is when she's, 4 or 5, 3, 4, 5, that kind of thing. And that's
I can't imagine.
How's more not done in this way?
Yeah.
With kids being left for days at a time.
Because I know they had some older kids. And so if you have a kid that's over a certain age that is in charge, like legally, there's nothing wrong. So it could be a situation like that.
So like Chad, I think was 16 at the time that like CPS like came out, I think, and was like asking questions. Does that constitute old enough? Maybe that's what. Okay.
Yeah,
well,
that's definitely old enough. I think it's every state's a little different, but I think the main age is like you can stay home.
They're in Utah, so
yeah, you can stay home by yourself. I think it's like 12 is usually around the age, and then I think it's like 14 or 15, something like that is like when you can start babysitting. Every state's a little different, and I don't even know if all states have a legit like number.
In late 2018. A lot of things start to shift within the household. So the family, specifically Ruby, meets Jody Hildebrandt. I hate that last name, firstly.
I do too.
I mean, I hate the full name.
Right. Not a good one.
So Jody was a licensed clinical mental health counselor in Utah. Okay. So Kevin Franke has a lot to say about Jody.
Okay.
This is fine, I guess. I'm torn on this dude. So
yeah.
He said that his wife first started like speaking with Hildebrandt at the end of 2018. She was counseling Ruby when it came to parenting and like her own like self-help journey and like her spiritual path as well. So soon after she started seeing Ruby, she became the like family therapist for the whole clan. of 8 passengers. Wow. Like, she would speak with the children and stuff. She would, like, technically counsel the children. Jody ran a business that was called Connections Classroom. It's not spelled correctly. It has an X in it. It's weird. And that started, so Connections Classroom, she started that online. It's an online program in 2012. And it's like extensive, intensive workshops that's like, you get a set of DVDs that like walk you through everything, I guess. And they have different ones on like life coaching, marriage counseling, parenting, what have you. Just a bunch of different types of courses that you can take. This is sounding very close to Keith.
I know.
Here.
I was thinking the exact same thing when you were saying all this. I was like,
the whole time I'm researching this, I'm like,
deja vu.
Self-help, huh? This come up a lot.
So they suck you in.
A lot of like former clients of the Connections Classroom, they said that it was very cult-like program and that they didn't realize this until like later on after buying, that it was like based on the principles of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So it's very, there's an agenda there. There's an agenda. Not many people know this, but Jody was actually put on probation in January of 2012.
Yes, she was.
Due to, so the same year she brings out Connections Classroom, due to ethical issues with a client. So
is that why she started Connections? Because she was put on hold? I think that was her way of making money. Yeah, that makes sense.
So it was after all this stuff with the client in 2012 that she created Connections Classroom. Mm-hmm. So you're tracking right there. So Jody had shared client privileged information with the Church of Latter-day Saints and members of a university that the client worked at.
Yeah.
So that's extremely compromising to his case. And you would know, being in your line of work with the trauma, with the trauma
of it all.
The coaching and everything.
Yeah.
So he had just a really horrifying journey. There's so much to it. And he has shared it with several news outlets. He's very like open about what happened with him. His name is Adam Steed. If you want to go look at more stuff, you can just Google his name. But Jody pretty much hunted him down and ruined his life when he wanted to go to different therapists and when he wanted to regain control of his life. And he is still trying to get back control and heal. Mm-hmm. So he had an absolutely terrible time. I feel so horrible that he went through that. But yeah, he's going to get there. We're sending all the good vibes towards him. Are you going
to share what happened to him? Do you know the whole story?
I do.
You do?
It's so much.
It is a lot.
It's so much. So I just think if you want to go read into it, I highly suggest doing that. But
can I give a like real quick summary?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you give a synopsis?
I think I remember and correct me if I'm wrong, he was assaulted as a child by a Boy Scouts leader. And then whenever he came out about it and he started doing therapy and stuff with like Jody Hildebrandt as he got older, she would like turn it back on him and say that like because he was assaulted, like he was also going to be a predator, and that like wasn't like she was telling the church and like all the leaders and stuff like don't let him be around kids, and like she ruined
his reputation.
Yeah, made him feel like he was the predator when he was the victim the whole time. And
exactly. He's having to undo all of that.
Yeah, that's
like you're a victim turned into an abuser that's not even real, and then you have to like go back through it as a victim again. Oh, just
and yeah, like we said, we'll link it below. He's done multiple interviews, and we'll link a few. And please, I do encourage you to go listen to his story because, like,
it's really powerful.
Just hearing it from him, it's like a whole different perspective, and you can just hear the weight. I know that that's like a completely two different senses, but you really can't. Like, you can hear the weight when he's telling this story.
He sounds so heartbroken.
It breaks my heart. Yeah.
We'll link that because it's really important that people know his story too. And that he's not a predator.
Yeah, no.
Anyway, Jody's niece also came forward about abuse that she endured, including one time she was left out overnight without shelter in the Utah snow.
Oh my God.
She will talk all day about Jody, her aunt.
Yeah.
I mean, she is not afraid to talk about it.
Yeah.
I want to link her story too.
She's so pretty too.
She's
Like
so hot.
She's so pretty.
I'm fine.
All of us, Lola and I, little bisexual selves, were like, "Oh, you're pretty.
Gorgeous.
You're making me blush." Yeah, no, she seems like somebody I would like really like to get to know. Like
I agree.
She's very
she's
cool.
well spoken, intelligent. She's not afraid to stand up for herself.
Yeah,
And she's pretty on top of it all. So
it's the whole package.
We'll link her story too if you want to listen to her.
Yeah.
So after Ruby enrolled in this program with Connections Classroom, she later was encouraged to become part of the team as a certified mental fitness coach. And if you ask what a mental fitness coach is, I tried to listen to Ruby explain it in a video. It means nothing. It means just reinforcing whatever Jody is telling you.
Exactly.
As fact. That's it.
With a fancy title, like it's going to mean something.
It's something to add to the resume, I guess.
Yeah.
Whatever. But in 2022, videos ceased being posted to the 8 Passengers channel. And in early 2023, everything was deleted on their channel. So that's early 2023. I am going to hop. So not much is happening online with these people. So I'm going to hop to August. And this is where it gets bad. So August 30th, Utah police get a call, 911 call, about a starved child that was found. The minor in question appeared emaciated and malnourished, with open wounds that had duct tape around the extremities. He was taken to the hospital in severe condition.
Jesus
These open
Christ.
wounds that were like taped around, so it was wrists and ankles. The wounds had cayenne pepper and honey slathered into them before being cling wrapped and then duct taped. So that's an extra detail you may not hear. And this child was later identified as Ruby Franke's 12-year-old son, Russell.
Russell, sweet baby.
So Russell is the second youngest. So Russell and Eve are the very youngest of the clan.
Yeah.
Russell had been at the home of Jody Hildebrandt, and he had climbed out the window and ran to a neighbor's house asking for help. And that was the neighbor that made the 911 call. I encourage you to listen to this 911 call.
I agree.
It is, you don't hear anything specifically graphic, but like, this is an older gentleman that is reporting to the police. And he is like, you can tell that he is worried. He doesn't know this child, but this child is hungry. He said he's hungry and he's thirsty. He looks like he was watching his words.
Yeah.
But he was like, I'm worried. Like something happened to this kid. Someone did something to this kid, you know? He was very concerned. So police searched the home. So after they were called, they searched Jody Hildebrandt's home and they found a vault. We'll show pictures of the vault.
A vault?
So like the best way that I can describe it to you is that, you know, those like gun vaults, those really big ones at Tractor Supply?
Yes.
With the turn handle, it looks like a ship.
Yes.
You know? Okay, it's like that, like a really deep one is what it seemed like. It looks like it's like they added on to a part of the home.
Yeah.
So like it just looks like a door with a handle. It just looks like a safe in the wall. It looks like a safe in the wall. Yes.
Yeah.
Are you looking at it?
No, I'm not.
Okay. You can look at it if you want to.
Yeah, I'm going to have to
It literally is like a bunker. You walk into it and I think there's a sink and there's like a bed and like a bunch of shelving in there. That's it.
Wow.
It's like the tiniest little room.
So it's a apocalyptic bunker.
Yeah, it looks like a safe room or like a panic room.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get, like a panic room. And this was in Jody.
That was in
Hildebrandt's
Jody's house.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so that is where they found another child in the vault.
In the vault?
In similar physical condition. And she was hospitalized, and that was Eve. She was 9 years old. So imagine your daughter.
I can't.
Yeah.
No. What the hell? This is in her house?
In her house, like in the downstairs area. It looks, I mean, her whole like downstairs area looks like a fucking prison. It looks like a jail down there. And then you just see this thing in the wall.
Yeah.
And that's where you keep children? What is happening? So they said that Eve was petrified while she was sitting by herself in that empty vault.
Oh, poor baby.
And but there's 2 others that are not accounted for, 2 other children. So they figure out who these kids are. You know, the police, they figure out these are Ruby Franke's kids. These are the 2 youngest. They already know. So at this point, Chad and Shari, they are out of the house. They're the oldest kids. They are off to college, living by themselves, whatever. But there are 2 other girls that are unaccounted for. So, like, they clear the entire house. They can't find them. And they put out, like, a list. It's not like an Amber Alert or... Right. I don't know. They put out something that's like, look for these girls. They ended up finding them. So it turns out the 2 other girls had been picked up from a local rec center by another leader in the Connections organization.
Okay.
Her name is Pam Botcher. And to give you a little bit of like insight to her role in this whole thing. So in Connections classroom, at the very top of the pyramid is going to, yes, it's a pyramid
always
scheme.
a fucking pyramid.
At the top is Jody, and the 2 people below her are Ruby and Pam.
Okay.
So these are like, she's one of the top people in here.
She's a top leader.
Yes. So police go to Pam's house and detain her and retrieve the 2 girls. They were unharmed. Everything was fine. Pam was confused because she didn't have all the facts. She wasn't charged with anything. Okay. It seems like Pam didn't know what was happening. It's like,
can you imagine?
Ruby had called Pam and just said, hey, I need you to pick up my girls, you know? And so like, obviously she's going to. They're coworkers. They're probably close, you know? So she wasn't clued in. Police just randomly show up to her house demanding these kids from her. Yeah. And Ruby is not present. So her husband, the body cam footage of Pam's husband, he was like, hiding the girls behind him. He's like, I don't know why you're here. Like, I need to know what this is about because I heard their mother's not here and I feel like I need to protect them right now. He was very dad. Like,
I can't blame him for that. Like, those aren't even his kids. And he's like, oh, hell no, what the fuck is going on? You know?
He was very
I can understand
worried.
That. Yeah.
He like, the police really had to like de-escalate the situation and tell him like, here's the paperwork. Like, where we've got mom and everything. We've got other kids. You know, we're just trying to make sure we put them all back together, get them checked out. That's all. So like Pam and her husband, they were not charged with anything. They're good. I don't really think they knew about any of this. They seemed just as shocked as the rest of us. So
yeah,
the 2 girls, Julie and Abby. So these are the girls that were at Pam's house, and they, in the body cam footage, you can't see their faces. They're like blurred out and everything, but their body language is very much like, I don't want to speak to you. They seem very scared and they are not willing to speak with police about things. It seems like they've been trained that like, if police talk to you, you don't say anything. It really seems like they knew that they weren't supposed to talk about the things they had seen or that had been done to them. So I don't know that for sure, but it just seems that way from the way they were reacting to police, because there was one officer, she was very, very gentle. And like, she said, it's not my intention to scare you. Am I making you feel scared? She's like, can I like take away something that will make you feel more comfortable, you know? But the girls were just not having it. So
not when you've most likely been trained to be scared of that. Like you can't, no matter how nice they are, that's not going to undo the...
And it's still a little bit jolting too, like to speak with an officer when they have come to you about something.
Yeah.
You know? Mm-hmm. These 2 girls were taken into state custody. So the same day, Ruby and Jody are arrested for aggravated child abuse in Utah.
Fucking finally.
I want to talk about Shari.
Okay.
I said earlier.
Shari, the oldest.
We both said
girl,
that we just really, okay.
Yes.
So the next day, August 31st of 2023, Shari speaks out. She had ended contact with her parents in 2022. She had posted in 2022 that she did not support Connection's beliefs or speak to anybody in the family more. And she was also featured on the podcast called Into the Light. And she tells her story. She talks a lot about finding personal empowerment through her relationship with Christ. And she describes like a pretty normal upbringing until the family channel started. She said that she realized pretty quickly that this was their job in order to afford food and things. And then she said it just got worse as like Ruby and Jody met and started connecting their personal beliefs with the gospel and like mental health with the gospel. She mentioned in this episode of that podcast, Into the Light, that there was very low accountability with life coaching in general.
Oh, yeah.
And I know you're very well of that.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very well aware of that.
Yeah. It is.
It's not the same as therapy. Life coaching is not therapy.
No. And there's like, I was finding, because I was looking for like specifically trauma recovery.
Yes.
And I had to sift through a bunch of just like,
non-accredited.
Non-accredited, nothing backed with like any kind of degree, like nothing. And they're like $9.99 and you're a life coach certified. I'm like, bitch, please. Like, so finding the program I did with somebody who was a licensed and like, family psychologist, had done it for years and had an entire system created. We have a board of ethics. We have continuing education hours to maintain our certification.
An ethical curriculum.
Yeah, it's very ethical. We have boundaries of things we can and cannot work on. It's very detailed, and that's what I was looking for because I want to one, cover myself for my responsibility and for my protection of I'm like not giving out like advice that could harm somebody, and two, to protect others from, an unlicensed person, you know what I mean? You get it.
Yeah. Shari was caused a lot of spiritual distress at the hands of her mother and Jody. She said she now understands like the separation that mental health is not fully aligned with the gospel that she believes in. And that's okay. And like it can hold hands, but it's not intermingled the same way. Like it's like Jesus loves you so much that he doesn't think he can fully cure you. Jesus loves you so much that he wants you to seek out therapy.
Yes.
That's what it is. So
A to the man.
And I'm with that. I'm with that, Jesus. So
yes.
Shari had a really hard time breaking away due to the lack of support system. She was able to break free from her parents, and she actually has formed she's mended and reformed a lot of relationships with other extended family. So she will speak with some of the family, but not her parents. So she's doing very well now. She is in therapy, and she's making her own path forward. So she has a YouTube channel. You can follow her. I don't know if she's super active on it, but we'll link that. And we're going to link that podcast episode that she was featured on, Into the Light. Because it's really good just hearing her own words, just like with Adam. We want you to hear their story as much as possible. So on August 31st, the day after the arrest, is when Shari speaks out, and she reacted to the news on Instagram saying, "Me and my family are so glad justice is being served. We've been trying to tell the police and CPS for years about this, and so glad they finally decided to step up. The kids are safe, but there's a long road ahead." Wiser words were not spoken. Yeah.
I remember that was the first I had ever heard of Ruby Franke. And it was, who was it? What is her name? The Jennonites on Fundy Fridays on YouTube. Her little community. She calls them the Jennonites. She had shared it on her Instagram. She had shared Shari's post. And I was like, who the fuck is this Ruby Franke? And so then I went on, my little deep dive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she wasn't the only person to speak out. Ruby's sisters also spoke out. And they also have family vlogging channels. It's like their whole family is just family vloggers, which is not an ethical source of income, in my opinion.
No.
They declined to make a lot of comments on this, but they said that like they knew something was happening and they were glad something was finally happening about it. I have questions as to why you guys didn't step up, but whatever.
Yeah, they tried to say that they called CPS and they've done all that they like legally could is kind of what I had picked up from it. But it really made me mad that, okay, you make your money on a family vlogging channel. You put your family out for the internet to see, to criticize, to enjoy, to be entertained by, to learn from, to all of the things. So when something in your family happens like this, and then you get the privilege to just put out one little statement and say, I'm not going to answer any more questions about this, bitch, we have questions. And I don't feel like that's really fair when that was literally, you just went back to like, back to our regular programming as if nothing fucking happened. And I was like, okay.
The priority is the kids and we're glad they're safe. But like, we have questions. And like, if you're going to put out a part of the story to the public and get everyone like really invested, I think you owe the rest of us like something, the whole story.
Even if it was just like, this is still unraveling and because of legal reasons, we do not want to jeopardize a ongoing legal case.
That's valid.
So we are not able to speak until it moves further within the courts. I can respect that, but it was just like, we don't want to talk about this anymore, And it was like,
because it's all that was like being commented on all of their videos too. They were like, what the hell? Didn't you guys know about this? Which is a valid line of questioning.
It's a valid question.
Well, September 6th, 2023, Kevin Franke breaks his silence. Aren't you wondering where the husband is at this point?
And fucking Kevin.
So he came forward and denied all involvement with the alleged crimes. His lawyer said that they had been living apart. The spouses had been living apart for 13 months before she was arrested. And he said that Kevin had been pushed out of the picture when Ruby became involved, like as a coach with connections.
I actually believe that. I do believe that.
I believe that too, but do you not see your kids? You have rights as a dad. Are you not like...
From what I remember hearing with Jody and the Connections group was Jody had a really good way of dividing the husbands from the wives. And she was very manipulative on how she did it. And I heard multiple other men tell similar, if not almost identical stories. So she had this way of separating the men from the women and having the women all to herself kind of thing. And
I don't understand why he wouldn't try to take legal action though.
Because he's a little bitch, baby.
See,
and
that's the answer I was looking for, I guess.
I can believe that he was separated from her, but I still think he's a little bitch baby because he didn't stand up for his kids and he was just as, what's the word I'm looking for? Responsible for the things that all of his children endured for the last 10, 12 years as Ruby was. So he's still a little bitch.
November 29th, he files for divorce.
Okay.
So that year,
of 2023.
November 29th, he filed for divorce. December 18th, Ruby entered a guilty plea for 4 of her charges. And she also got to make an apology, a public statement.
Oh.
She said, with my deepest regret and sorrow for my family and my children, guilty, when they asked her how she pled. Jody also pled guilty to 4 counts of second-degree felony, aggravated child abuse. So they both pled guilty to that.
Did they say why? Like, why were they doing this?
Oh, I have another quote on that. Both women were sentenced to 4 consecutive 1 to 15-year sentences, capped at 30-year max in Utah. So, February 20th of 2024, Ruby apologizes. So, during her sentencing, her 6 kids and her husband are there for it. And she said, for the past 4 years, I've chosen to follow counsel and guidance that has led me into dark delusion. My distorted version of reality went largely unchecked as I would isolate from anyone who challenged me. To my babies,
Give me a
you
break.
are a part of me. I believe dark was light and right was wrong. I would do anything in this world for you. I took from you all that was soft and safe and good. That last sentence was the only truth I found.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Because, bitch, you had your red flags before you even met Jody. So, like, give me a fucking break.
See, that's the thing. I think Jody was an excellent catalyst for abuse.
Oh, yeah.
There were things there beforehand. Especially her diary came out pretty close to us recording today. So March 25th of this year, her diary was revealed. So prosecutors released the journal entries that she wrote when she was mistreating her children, including saying that her tween son, so Russell, was satanic. She said he slithers and sneaks around looking for opportunities when no one is watching, and then he scurries. She also wrote in an entry from July 10th, 2023, her son's 12th birthday, if he wants to emulate the Savior, he needs to be 100% obedient with exactness, no wavering, no hiding. And then she also wrote about punishing them by beating them and withholding food and water. You can find the journal entries online. Just Google and then go to images.
How the hell do you get to that point to where you think that withholding food and water from your children is a logical form of punishment that is going to correct any kind of behavior and that that's okay? And it's like, okay, you knew this was wrong because you had somewhat trained your kids not to talk to police. You were hiding all of this. You didn't tell anybody about, your parenting practice. So you knew this was wrong in the eyes of society as a whole. But your mind is so fucked up with your beliefs in God that you're like, but God is okay with this because this is how it's going to correct my children and make them be obedient little followers of Christ. What the hell?
Yeah,
it's
and
the brainwashing.
It's just taken the Mormon belief set, into a weird end days.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Because the way she's talking about someone being satanic, the way that she describes them as if they have been like infiltrated by demons or something.
Yeah.
And that they are inherently like evil and it needs to be like broken out of them or something. It needs to be.
And so that's
extracted.
That's why they were doing all of this physical abuse and restraints was because of Jody and Ruby.
Exorcism gone wrong.
Yeah.
An exorcism gone right in the worst ways possible.
Yeah.
I don't even know if that's what I want to say.
Know.
Exorcism gone. What's the worst word you could use?
Yeah. Fucked up.
The worst, most fucked up exorcism in the world that wasn't even needed.
So they actually believe that with these kinds of punishments, it was going to somehow correct their this child's behavior. And Jody had been doing that for years. You said that her niece, she left her out in the cold in friggin' Utah snow in the winter.
Yeah.
So like these kind of really harsh punishments, it seems to me are to break you down as a person, to make you feel the lowest of lows, and in their hopes so that it makes you turn and want to do better or what they perceive as better in your relationship with Christ. Yeah. So fucked. So fucked.
Well, I'll say just to cap this off, the younger four of the whole clan, so Abby, Julie, Russell, and Eve are now in the care of the Department of Child and Family Services with the state of Utah, as far as I know, and this is April 2024.
Yeah.
Their father, Kevin Franke, he cannot have them at this point.
I hope he doesn't get them because Shari, she doesn't talk to either of her parents. There's a reason she doesn't talk to either of her parents.
Yeah.
So,
same.
He wasn't fighting for them. He wasn't trying to protect them from this. He wasn't calling CPS. No.
And also, I saw this, and I don't want to put words in Chad's mouth or anything, but Chad said that the second oldest of the group, he he was the one that had his bed taken away in bedroom and taken away and stuff. So he posted like a TikTok or a YouTube reel like right after she was like sentenced. And it was like kind of celebrating or like, and it was directly about like, hey, my mom's going to prison. Like,
yeah.
I don't know if he did that just to like, maybe he was really happy. If I was in his position, I probably would be very happy. And I think all the kids, they know better than us that this was not just manipulation from like a cult leader or something like that. This was evil from the get-go.
Made
and
worse.
No, YouTube did not make her evil. You know, like I know that Shari said they had a very normal upbringing, but normal is subjective, you know? And it maybe wasn't super like physically abusive, you know? But there may have been things there.
Yeah.
Before YouTube. So
Before
we can't
YouTube
blame
came out,
YouTube. Yeah. We can't blame the tube. And we can't blame it all on the Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints doctrine. Because like I know plenty of Mormons that.
Yeah. Yeah. It was like a train that caught fire and then just like nobody could put it out. And like eventually all the carts on the train just kept catching fire.
Big agree. Huge agree.
I always had this because like family vlog channels came out when I was, just freshly like end of college type time, right before I got married and stuff. And then I started having kids and they were like really popping off. And I just remember raising my oldest as she was like a toddler and thinking, how the fuck do these people get their kids to cooperate for that long of recording? Because
fear. It's fear.
There is no way.
I think it's child neglect, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it's neglect and a form of like abuse and manipulation.
I don't even care if it's like let me show you how crazy a day in the life is, and maybe you're not controlling your kids or like, I don't care. I think putting your children on camera for the internet is just unsafe.
I've seen a few people, the way that they do it, I can appreciate their ethicalness with it. For example, Mama Cusses.
Oh, I like Mama Cusses. Yeah.
Love Mama Cusses. The only one of her kids that I've ever seen on camera is the teenager.
The oldest one.
And the teenager gives permission.
She asks them, though, if they want
does.
to. Yeah.
Yes. The other younger ones, she does not give consent. There's a couple other I know that have kids, but I've never seen their kids because their kids are not on camera. And then, yeah, that's like kind of like the ones I can talk about.
See, okay, that I don't think I would have a problem with them being like off camera.
It is still, I consider Mama Cusses to be a family influencer.
Yeah.
But the way that she does it, like she actually like, she'll portray her other children, like she dresses up as them,
Yeah.
And so like you're still getting the stories, you're just not.
It's not exploiting her children.
Taking advantage. Yeah, it's not exploiting your child. So I think there's definitely ethical ways that we can do it without exploiting our children. And it's like, I remember watching or hearing about Jody, like just how much the kids were on video at the beginning. And it was like literally from sunup to sundown, they were on camera. And like she was
Jody or Ruby?
Ruby, sorry, Ruby.
No,
and she would like even record like embarrassing moments where they're, you know, talking about really private things or they're getting in trouble. And it's just like, God, you will do anything for views. And it is. Whew.
There was one video that like, I'm pretty sure it was Eve, a very small girl. So I'm pretty sure that it was Eve.
Yeah.
Where Ruby had like, I think she was trying to get her to go to bed. No, she wasn't. Okay. She was filming Eve and Eve had this baby doll. And I think it's the kind that like when you lay it down, it closes its eyes. And when it sits up, it opens.
Yeah.
And she had like taped the eyes shut, you know? So that she could hold it, like, I guess, upright.
Yeah.
You know? This is not an inherently bad thing. This is not the curiosity of children, whatever.
Oh, she was getting in trouble for that?
Ruby was like,
what the hell?
do you want me to tape your eyes shut when you go to sleep?
Mhm.
To make you go to sleep? It was something like that. It was like,
oh my God.
in a very condescending and mildly threatening. And it sounded a little bit threatening. And the way that like Eve looked at looked at, I assume Ruby.
Right.
She was like,
yeah.
you know?
Was it? Oh, I can't remember. It was her. I think I remember Ruby one time telling one of her kids that it might have been Eve or one of the really young ones that like she was going to take their doll away and cut their head off.
Yes.
Was that her? I thought I remembered that.
There are
like,
so many
hell?
instances. Part of me like wishes that the videos were still up so that I could take inventory of how horrible she was. But also, I don't want to see her children be abused. I don't want to see them be uncomfortable because like she...
And they didn't have friends. They didn't have friends.
I know.
Because
they were
so
very isolated. And like
all over the internet that like when they did go to school,
they were too iconic.
And most of the kids' parents didn't want their kids being friends with her kids because
they didn't want to be on camera or like,
they said that in the video. Like I think it was Russell had said like, I don't have any friends. Yeah. And then the other girl was like, yeah, I don't either.
Yes. He said it like so matter of fact, like, yeah, we just don't have friends. We see people at church. There are more and more instances of like uncomfortable things happening. And even ones that like, I guess weren't that bad were still bad to me. Like there was one video where Chad, I think he had just gotten home from school. He was just going to the kitchen to like get something to eat. And she was just following him with the camera. And she was like, so let's talk about your day. And what fucking teenager after a long day at school wants to be grilled?
Not one. Not
on camera.
Not one.
Knowing that it will be posted. Knowing that like his mom is an influencer and this will be posted. He was like, he didn't speak at all. And she was like, great talk, you know? Where is your compassion for your teenager that's like got a lot going on that you don't know anything about too, because you're too far past it to remember what it's like to be a teenager.
Yeah. And it's so, I remember so many people like when I looked in like the comments and stuff, is like there were so many people that like actually did enjoy her family and the way that she parented, and like they thought that they had it all together. And so it's like after all this comes out, I'm like hoping all those people had a wake up call and realize not only how bad that these family vlogging channels are and how much damage they do to the children, but also how much that like using religion as a means to, exploit your children and have this family vlog channel is not all sunshine and rainbows. And I hope they're able to wake up from it and realize like, oh, they didn't have it all together. Their religion wasn't what it was supposed to be. And
obviously, no, I'm not a parent, but like, I'm not of the mind that like a controlled child is a good child.
Yes.
That there's any such thing as a good child or a bad child. Why aren't they allowed to like be a little more expressive, be loud and like take up space? And
yes,
they're brand new to this earth. They're still learning how to be a human. And so like they should be given that space and that freedom.
And it's okay. So basically I'm saying, I hope that whoever saw Ruby Franke and the way that she was raising her kids and saw it as something good, that they're able to now look back and realize, oh, that was really fucked up. And they didn't have it all together. It was very much manufactured for YouTube. It's not real. It's unrealistic and it's toxic as fuck. And I hope they're able to come out of that and unlearn and do better, because Ruby Franke really fucked shit up.
Ruby Franke.
Ruby Franke.
Not every day is going to be a perfect day with your family, and especially not with your kids. So like, it's okay to just operate within chaos. I think. I don't know.
What was their exact sentence? Have they had their exact like official sentencing So,
Yeah.
because I was like, I know they could have been sentenced for like, what was it, max of 30 years, but I couldn't remember what exactly they got.
So this is what it says. This is Ruby Franke was sentenced to 4 1 to 15 year terms in prison. So like four terms in prison. And those terms, I guess they may ask them to serve between 1 to 15 years.
For each one.
But the max amount of years that they can serve is 30 in Utah.
Altogether. Okay.
So I don't know an exact thing, but I feel like 30. I feel like 30 years is like what they're going to serve. I guess the minimum amount would be 4 years. Is that right? 1 to 15.
Okay. 5th District Judge John Walton sentenced both Franke and Hildebrandt to 4 terms of 1 to 15 years in prison on 4 counts of aggravated child abuse, a 2nd-degree felony. He said serving the sentences consecutively is appropriate, meaning each woman will serve between 4 and 60 years.
See, at Utah, the cap is 30 years.
Yeah.
For their sentence. So
I think it could have been up to 60, but because of the cap, it's 4 to 30. So I think it's probably like after the first 4 years, they can start to like,
maybe they can
parole or something like that. I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
But maybe something like that.
So we'll see in 4 years what happens.
Yeah.
Maybe hopefully they'll stay in longer.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man. She's not going to do well in or outside of prison, though, I tell you.
I hope she's having a horrible time.
I hope you have the day you deserve, Ruby Franke.
And I hope you
really
don't get your aging eye cream that you probably want. Just saying.
Yeah. 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 You got a palate cleanser, my friend?
Oh my gosh, I don't have one. Well, I will have an announcement while I think of a palate cleanser. If you guys haven't already jumped on over, you need to jump on over to our Patreon that's linked below in the show notes, and you get access to our potty podcast. We have a few episodes up already, ready for you to listen to. There's just fun episodes where Lola and I just get to shoot the shit and talk fun stuff. We've got dark family secrets, paranormal activities, and so much more coming down the pipeline.
Yes.
Coming down
very
the
affordable.
Poop chute.
We'd love to have you as part of the Patreon community.
Yes, there's one tier, $5, and then we'll probably add to it as time goes on and add more tiers. But we're just going to start
get more
there.
and more benefits with everything, though.
Yeah,
with any tier that we make it worth your while.
It's gonna be good. But yeah, that's exciting. I can't think of a palate cleanser because my brain.
That's okay. You don't have. Did you say our friendiversary on this?
It is our friendiversary.
Okay. We're recording on our friendiversary.
We are. Today is April 25th. And so if you've watched Miss Congeniality, today is the perfect day. You know, when they asked her, can you please describe a date?
Yeah.
A perfect date. And she said, I'd have to say April 25th because it's not too hot and it's not too cold. You just need a light jacket.
And whoever wrote that, whatever writers for Miss Congeniality wrote that, you have no idea what you've started.
Yeah, right. Seriously. I see that meme like every single April 25th. But April 25th is also Lola and my friendiversary. Today was the day 1 year ago that I slid into her DMs and went, hey, want to start a true crime podcast with me? And she said, fuck yeah. And then everything was history after that.
I think we talked about this at the beginning of the episode, now that you said
Did we? I think it was.
Maybe we did.
No, I think we did it on. Okay, we've recorded.
Guys, we've had a really long day of recording. It's like a really long day.
It's been
We're so happy to do it.
Day.
It's been fun.
Yeah, we've had a lot of recording. So
I have a palate cleanser.
Okay, what is your palate cleanser?
So, Baltimore Harbor. They have a new resident. His name is Mr. Trash Wheel.
What?
Did you know that? So
no.
He was installed in the Inner Harbor in 2014, and his whole job is to collect trash.
Hey, I like that.
But he's part of a family of wheels, like Gwenda the Good Wheel of the West.
Oh, come on. Shut up. I love it.
So he's not the only one, but 5.2 million pounds have floated onto their conveyor belt tongues and have been carried up into their water wheel gullets and dropped into the floating dumpsters behind them.
Oh
So it's a
my
really cool invention.
gosh.
It has little eyeballs on it. It looks like a whale kind of that like sits on top of the water and just floats, and it picks up trash. So that's amazing. Yeah. And
oh my gosh, I love it.
It also says in the same article, approximately 45,000 homes have been powered with the electricity generated from the incineration of biological waste captured by Mr. Trash Wheel and his family of other trash wheels.
Oh, I have to go look these up now. Now I'm like super interested.
They're so cute. Hold on, I'm gonna send you the little article on it because it is just they're just so cute looking.
So cute. Oh my god!
I think this main picture is of Mr. Trash Wheel. I don't know what Gwenda looks like, but I assume similar. Maybe she has eyelashes.
Eyelashes. I wish they would do that. That would sounds really cool.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's so cute,
isn't it? Yeah.
Oh my god, he really does have eyes. Man. I love it when they go the extra mile and they're like, "Let me."
Whoever created that. Good on you.
That's
high fives
perfect.
And handshakes all around.
Yes. Oh my God. I might have a palate cleanser that literally just came in. So I had a friend just message me. I knew him in high school and he said, this is random and I hope it's not a triggering thing to say, but tell me why I had YouTube on and an old video came up of Rick Pino at the ramp. Like, whoa, blast from the past, laugh out loud. Do you know who Rick Pino is?
I was just about to ask, who the fuck is that?
Okay, so I'm going to send you guys down a rabbit hole. So Rick Pino was a I guess kind of like prophetic worship pastor person, worship leader. And he would sing like a whole bunch of just like worship songs, but they would just like go on forever because like the Spirit was leading them, you know, and there was a group called The Ramp and they would have these conferences where you'd go and they would have just like hours on end of worship where people be like dancing crazy, very Pentecostal, just crazy shit, you know? And I went to the Ramp a couple times and like, I don't know if you've ever seen the video. It's like, where like Rick Pino is singing a song and all the girls or not the girls, everybody takes off their shoes and they're like, what is the line? It goes, kick off your shoes and dance now. Let the heavenly chaos come. And so like everyone's taking their shoes off, throwing them on stage. Like it's fucking chaotic. And somebody shared it on like TikTok and everyone's like, oh my God, cringe. And I was like, oh my God, I was there.
No. How is this real life? Okay.
I know. I'm like, and it's kind of like the one time like Lola sent me a video and was like, oh my God, it's so funny. And it was this like performance, like Christian performance. And I was like,
with like matching outfits and stuff. And she was like, I actually did one of those. And she sent it to me and it was so cringy.
Lola was like, oh my God, shut up. And I was like, I know. It's so embarrassing. I will tell you, I'm so glad that the internet was not how the internet is. And we didn't have like video cameras on our cell phones like we do today when I was in college and when I was in this ministry because boy, I'd be so embarrassed. And like the kids I see, I call them kids because they're like young teens, but the ones I see on like TikTok and Instagram who are like, we love Jesus, and they're making all these videos. I'm like, oh, you poor thing. Like, this is...
It's going to haunt you forever.
Like, my Facebook memories, like, come back to bite me in the ass. And I just, like, there's this one kid, and if you're on Instagram, then you probably already know who it is, but I'm not going to say their name. But he goes out and he does these, like, he twirls these flags. He's like a flag person.
Yeah.
And his comment section is so brutal for him. Like everyone's like, oh my God, I'm so glad churches are more, inclusive. And like, oh my God, I saw this performance at Pride. And he's like, I'm not gay. Like in the whole comment section.
I may have been one of the commenters.
Oh no, Lola.
I was like, I think I had just put like a bunch of the flags, like the trans flag and and like a heart or something.
I try to not engage with like younger posters and stuff.
Him being like, I'm not gay.
But that he kept commenting like, I'm not gay. I don't support that. And that's when I was like, okay, I was like trying to be nice, but then you went all like, fuck gay people on me.
But then you went home homophobic. Yeah. And I was like, okay.
I know. And I was like, honey,
it's okay. Did you know that animals are naturally homosexual? Your G-spot's in your asshole. It's okay. It's okay. It's medical. It's factual.
These palate cleansers went left.
We go just like chewing the bars of our enclosure.
We did.
We're ready to fight God.
But I'm here and I'm queer.
And the end of the episode is actually here. Sorry.
Yes, it is. We love you guys. Thank you for joining us. Again, go over to our Patreon, subscribe, and you get access to the Potty Podcast, and you'll be able to actually comment on those videos and let us know like what other kind of topics you want us to talk about and what you want to hear. And if you want to put in some case suggestions for Deadly Faith, maybe that's something we'll add to another tier. You'll get like, priority requests. I don't know. That's something to think about anyways.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
We're glad you guys were here today. Go out, touch some grass, wipe your ass, and be a nice person. That's all we ask.
You matter. We love you. Thanks for being here with us, friend.
Peace out. Bye. Also, heathens, if you're enjoying the show so far, please rate, subscribe, do all the things because we love you and your life depends on it. Our life depends on it. Our souls depend on it. I'm just kidding. They don't. But the podcast depends on it. And so we need you to do it. Anyways, we love you guys. Thanks for listening. Also, head over to our Patreon, like we said earlier, get you some cool merch, support us so we can keep bringing you these amazing cases. The Deadly Faith Podcast is brought to you by Queercast Network. It is produced by Lacey Bean and Lola Robbins and audio engineered by Eric Howell. Thanks for listening.